Alright guys, welcome back to another video. This time instead of showcasing off a render, we're going to be learning how to create one. This one's going to be a bit different. It's not going to be in my usual software choice with Blender. This one's going to be made with Autodesk Fusion. So if we open up Autodesk Fusion and get it loaded up, yeah, and then we can start. Fusion. A note about this video is that Fusion isn't made for rendering, it's more for design for CAD. It does have the capabilities of rendering and doing it to a decent quality, but it's not the most optimized. As you can see here, if we open Fusion settings, and if you're on Windows, go to graphics driver, and as I'm on a Mac, it won't appear here, but for Windows, there should be an option for DirectX 11 or DirectX 12. You want to choose the latest one, and then it might need you to restart Fusion. Go ahead and do that. It will give you a lot more performance. However, on Mac OS, and if there's a Linux port, it will be stuck on OpenGL. OpenGL is a really dated graphics API. I don't know why Fusion hasn't updated it, but it's still widely used. So if we go to graphics, you want that on quality. And yeah, and then you can press OK. So the project I'm going to be using for this video is this laptop stand. It was designed to hold a laptop vertically so it could save you space on your desk. So let's open that up. And as you can see, this is the design that I came up with for a laptop stand. Yeah, and so to start off, we can go in, click on the design tab and go down to render. And then in render view, we can see it isn't the best looking. It's a gray background with a small amount of shadow there. So if we go here into scene settings next to that appearance wheel, we go to scene settings, it opens up this side panel. And then on the background settings, so change it from solid color to environment. This will make it a bit darker. This is because we don't have a EXR file yet, a HDRI, I mean. So as you can see, we have a few pre-selected HDRI. So what we want to do is, so this object clearly, like if it was for holding up a laptop, should belong in like an office space or like somewhere with a desk. So if we go into our browser, we go to a website called polyhaven.com. It's a great website if you're doing 3D graphics. Yeah, they have a lot of assets. They have HDRIs, they have textures, they have models, and it's all professionally made, and it's all for free, so that's pretty nice of them. So if we go into the HDRIs section, we can search for maybe an office space, and here we can see the Polyhaven Studio one. This one we can see desks in. It appears there's multiple desks, monitors, so that'll be great. So in the download section, there's a quality preset. We can do 1K, 2K, 4K, 8K, 16K, or even 24K. I would say for an HDRI, go with 8K because, well, 4K is kind of high quality. It's going to be stretched out like here with the wood, so it won't really hold in all the detail once it gets stretched out. 16 and 24K is just overkill, unless you have a really good GPU. So now we can download. You can see it's kind of a large download. Our VPN is on. So we can go to Finder, Downloads, and then we can double click on the file to see if it checks out. Yeah, it's a bit low quality for now. That's because when this photo is taken, it goes through a process. It has to go through a process of debayering, and so the computer has to sort out all the pixels and stuff. Right now it's like kind of a quick preview. So we can quit that for now, go back into Fusion. Now we can attach custom environment. And then we click on the folder icon, select from my computer, and go to downloads, and then click on the file we just downloaded, click open, and voila, it's in Fusion now. And so we do notice it is a bit lower quality than expected, but it should be fine. We can just go back and re-download it. I'll do that now. Let's do 16K. That's going to be a huge download. Or maybe it's going through the process of debayering it. Yeah. While it's downloading it, for now we can do something else in Fusion. So we can see that on the desk, if we go into the orbit view, we can like line it up in the center, and we can sort of aim the camera to point at the object and the desk. Then we can zoom out and zoom in. Let's move that up a bit. We can center the object by clicking on it with the orbit view icon. And then if we go back to scene settings, and then we had to click on it again up here. And if we go to settings, oh, Fusion does not like that. Let's just click on a different. Yeah. If we right click and then it opens up the pie menu, if we go to cancel, that should take us out of the orbit view or option. Then if we go back into the corner and click on scene settings, we can stay in the default settings tab. If we go down, we can see the camera settings. Right now it's in perspective. That's great. We want it to be in there. Now we can change the focal length to, let's say, 100. Oop, that didn't work as well. Yeah, it's at 100. And then if we zoom in, and then we can actually orbit with that. That's a bit better. Then middle mouse button to move it. Actually, this might need a bit more tinkering as, yeah. Then again, to move it up, this, and yeah. By now it should be downloaded. Let's just replace, click on that folder icon again, select from my computer again. Let's open up the 16K version. As you can see, Fusion starts freezing and CPU temps start going up. Alright, that doesn't seem to make a change. I think it's gotta be with Fusion's rendering pipeline. So if we go back to the design tab, well, actually let's go to render. I'm going a bit too fast. So we can see this object is now lying flat on the table. That is not the orientation we want it to be in. Well, you could leave it like that, or you can do what I'm about to do and start rotating it. So as you can see here, there's the move/copy option. It doesn't work in the rendered view for some reason. We have to go back into design. Then from here we can use the box select, or we go into the browser tab, we go down to the bodies folder, then select body 1. Actually, let's deselect body 1. And then if we right click on it and then we go into the pie menu. There should be move/copy in there. Click on that. And what you want to do now is, so what we want to do is rotate. So let's click the rotate section. Now it needs an axis for us to rotate on. Now we just click on the select button, and then we can go ahead to any of the lines on this object to have an axis to rotate on. I want to use that point, which will let us rotate at the base of the object. So if we click that, we can drag the wheel. I'm gonna go for 90 degrees. Alright, now it's standing up, and we can verify this with this paper doll view. We can see that it's up along the z-axis. Alright, let's go back into rendered view. That shifted it around. We can always move it back to where we want it to be. Right, and that's set on the table. We can zoom out a bit, middle mouse button to pan the view, and it's just like pan it more. Now as you can see, this still looks a bit artificial. That's because the texture on this object isn't right. What we can do is we can go to appearance, select on body 1, then appearance, and then we can see in this design there's the current material is steel. What we want to do is go down to this section, library section, and here's where we have to decide what material to use. You guys might be using a different material for this. You can assign a material that's the one that you're going to use accordingly, but for me, I'm going to be 3D printing this object, so that will be made out of plastic. So if we go down to plastic down here, we can see there's different types of plastic. There's ABS, there's a whole ton, there's nylon too. I'm going to be printing in ABS, something you don't want to do, but you can if you want. ABS is a highly toxic plastic if you print. And so, as you can see, it's changed the material a bit. You can zoom in and stuff, yeah. And so after that, you can close this side panel. You can try doing render now. And as you can see, the background isn't as clear for some reason. Actually, let me check if my VRAM is used up. And it doesn't seem to be. Alright, we can do in-canvas render to get a preview. Oh, that looks a bit better. And you can see the plastic sort of has a subsurface scattering property to it. Right, let's zoom out, have that placed on the table again. Yeah, and as you notice, this will raise your GPU or CPU temps by a lot. Right now I'm running at 225, 226 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is normal. It's going to be fine. Your computer will be fine. Alright, so if we do in-canvas render, you can get a more accurate preview of it. For some reason this HDRI won't. Maybe if I switch it out and then back in. That doesn't seem to help. Actually, let's switch this HDRI. The low quality is kind of bugging me. So if we go back to HDRIs in Polyhaven, we can search for indoor. There's actually, I had it as, yeah, we can do the Brown Photo Studio. Download as 4K again. Download. Last time I tried with this HDRI, it was much better. So back into Fusion. replace custom environment, select from my computer again, around Photo Studio, open, and now it's around the same. But here we have the windowsill actually, that's going to be interesting. Well, we could have a laptop on a windowsill, like I do have mine on a windowsill, so we can change the focal length, and then we can zoom in on and out on the object to have it sort of to scale. We can pivot this. I kind of want it in the sun a bit more. Yeah. And then right now we can go through this. We can change the exposure. Oh, that doesn't look great. Let's lower that maybe a bit higher, or a bit lower. And we can also do depth of field, and then we can use that to have it focused on the object. And then here, and then here we can change how much blur there is to the image, to the render, I mean. I wish it was in f-stops, but this is the current object, or the current setting we have now. I can try lowering that to get a little less blur on things. And then we can also change the aspect ratio of the image. The current industry standard for videos and images is 16:9 widescreen, so that sort of crops it in, so you gotta make sure that anything you want in frame is within this lighter section. And yeah, and you can mess around with that. You can do 4:5, that's portrait. You can do 4:3, that's PowerPoint's presentation aspect ratio. You can do 1:1, which is a square. Yeah. And then so right now you can close this out. You can zoom in a bit more to make it larger. And all we have to do now is press render, and it starts rendering. But I want something a bit more. I feel like if we had multiple of these objects in the scene, it would look much better. So if we go to design, back into the design view, we select on body 1, we can right click it, and then there should be an option to duplicate, or we can just do Command or Control C and then Command or Control V to paste it. Now here it opens up this move/copy thing. We can move the duplicated object around. Let's move it off center right there, and then we can rotate it the other way 90 degrees so it's sort of flat, and then we can rotate it this way a bit. We want some imperfection to this, like we can't always have it at 90 degrees and stuff. That makes it look less natural and more artificial, which is something you do not want in your renders. So let's like kind of make that imperfect. Go back to render, and as you can see, it's sort of looks more natural. We can actually space those out a bit more. Select on body 2, move/copy. Let's translate, and let's move it. That should be good enough spacing. Let's go back to render, and as you can see, they're much more spaced out. It looks much better. And then let's do in canvas render again. The blur setting actually makes the HDRI look a bit better without all the low qualityness to it. So I actually never knew Fusion could do that with the subsurface scattering, like how it's not exactly opaque, but there's some translucency to it. that's actually really nice. And that's about as good as it will get in the viewport. So now if we stop the in-canvas render and we go to the actual rendering settings, yeah. And we can, I wouldn't go with cloud render because there's a lot of things that can go wrong with that. So if we go to local render, and if we go to advanced settings, yeah, you can do final or you can do excellent if you have a fast computer. And for this, let's go with PNG. Exposure is going to be native. Image size, we can change that. Why are all of these non-standard? Let's go with 1920 by 1080. Alright, and we press render. As you can see, this raises your CPU temps by a lot. Don't be surprised. This is normal. And yeah, as you can see, it tells you the time. There's 3 minutes left on it. I actually want to see how much power this is using. Terminals, do power metrics, I1000. Alright, it's basically not even using the GPU since it's based on OpenGL. It's actually around 13 watts. Alright, yeah. And that's pretty much the issue with, like, Fusion is good software for CAD. It's not great if you want to do rendering. I will also have another video on how to do more advanced rendering with Blender. Blender is actually, it's not really the industry standard now, but they're actually doing a lot of development with Blender, and several movie studios have actually started to use Blender for upcoming films. Yeah, and yeah, it's great software. I think I have the document here somewhere. Yeah, this is it. So, just to give you a preview on what Blender can do, if Word opens, yeah, so if we go down, there's all my sketches. Oh, is this the unfinished copy? Oh, it might be the unfinished copy. I think I should have it somewhere. Maybe on this USB drive. Yeah, it's not there. Probably that. No, that's not it. It's this one. Maybe it's that one. But yeah, you can sit back, relax as it starts or finishes rendering. It's 10th grade archived. Schoolwork. Grade Here it is. That should be it. Alright, there's all my sketches. Let me turn off that extension. Alright, so that's also unfinished. Where did the file go? Alright, it's done rendering. We can open that up if it allows us to. That's it. We can press the download icon. We can save that to downloads. We can rename this. Just gonna call it render. We can save and then close. And if we open it up, I would say that's an okay render. I feel like if we had less blur on the table, because now it looks more artificial. The thing with renders is you want, or at least if you're doing them for graphics, you want them as natural looking as possible. This will do. But yeah, and then you can just move this wherever in your documents, your rapid prototyping reports document or whatever. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.